Welcome all. My name's Dina Marston, and I am a technology coach. I'm working with the middle schools this year. And Mara Vlasic is with us, and she's working with Molly Terrace and Linwood High School. So this is Canvas assignments for beginners. We're just going to really focus on what does it mean by assignments, and kind of hopefully get you through some steps that will help you make things go a little bit faster. We are recording this session. If you have not taken professional development with us yet, then you need to sign up in the PD portal. But if you've been doing this for a while, you only need to do that once. But please make sure that you register using the bit.ly, because that'll help you with attendance, and then also we can get you your 1 clock hour for this session. And Mara's just put that in the chat for you. We want to go to the next screen.
Yes. Sorry, Dana. There you go.
That's okay. We haven't done it this way before, so yeah. It's a small crowd. They'll be good. All right. So we wanted to acknowledge the tribal land that Edmond School District is currently on, which are the homelands of the Duwamish, Skokomish, Snohomish, Snoqualmie, and the Suquamish and other coastal tribes, and that the tribes have granted us this use of their land in a treaty in 1855. So reminding where we are. And so here's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to show how to create an assignment, what the different assignment settings are, what types of ways you can have students submit those assignments. We're going to touch slightly into grading, and then we'll also be taking a look at some student views so you can see what it looks like from those students. We are recording this session. If you have questions while we're moving forward, we're small enough, you can by all means just ask, but also you can post it in the chat, and we'll be watching that. Your video is optional, but please mute your mic. And remember, you and I and all of us we're working on progress over perfection. Woohoo! So we wanted to start off by just touching on the fact that using Canvas as the main platform for grading is now the requirement across the district for those who are using Canvas. So all 7th through 12th grade teachers will be using Canvas, and that all activities start and end in Canvas, including our grading. Okay, so the first thing we wanted to talk a bit about is that when we create a new assignment, we're going to create it through that assignment through the modules. And the reason why we're going to create them through the modules is that is how students are going to access these assignments, is through the modules. And by adding your new assignments to modules, then you are absolutely ensured that those assignments are within that module that you want it to be in. You also, if you've been a Canvas user before and you have previous assignments, you can also add those to modules as well. And Mara is going to shift over and show you what that looks like from a Canvas view. Yeah?
Yes, sorry about that. I keep losing my share screen toolbar keeps like disappearing on me. Tech is not friendly today. Faye, I am feeling your pain today. Okay, so in a course, this is just an example course that I use. What Dana mentioned is actually clicking that plus button when we want to add an assignment to the module. So we click the plus button, and this is really where we can add anything to a module. So we have lots of different options, but it will always default to assignments. If you've already created that assignment, it will be listed here. If it's a brand new assignment, we click new assignment and name it. One thing that I found really frustrating that I think other teachers also do is that when I create the name and I click add item, it adds that assignment to the module, but all I've really created is the shell of that assignment. I now have to actually click on the assignment title. I get to preview the assignment, which it is empty because I haven't done anything to it yet. and then I have to click edit to actually start adding the content. So there's quite a few clicks from creating an assignment to actually getting into that edit mode. But it's just a quirk about Canvas that we just have to live with. But once we actually get into the assignment, then we can start editing that assignment. So we're going to walk through all of the different aspects of creating an assignment and options that you have. If either of you have any questions as we go, please stop me and we can look at those.
So we
go ahead, Dina.
Yeah. So that's how to create a new assignment. But if you have a previous assignment, you would do the same thing. You would click on the add assign. You would click on the plus, and then below where it says new assignments, where we typed in the name of that new assignment, you can see the list of all the assignments you've ever created in alphabetical list in there. And so as long as you know the title of that assignment you're trying to connect to that module, then you just would pull it from this list. There are other ways to pull assignments into modules as well, but we're just going to concentrate on how to add them directly to a module right now. Now, one thing we do want to bring up is that all your assignments, or all the assignments you create in modules, are saved in the assignments group. And that if you decide to remove an assignment from a module, it just moves it out of that module, but it stays put inside the assignments. If you go into assignments, and I'll have Mara show us this. If you go into the assignments here, and you were to remove or delete it from here, it disappears. So removing it from a module does not delete it from your Canvas course, but if you were to delete it, and it's a well hidden button, you can't just accidentally delete them from here. Thank goodness. Then it disappears from your Canvas course, period.
So how do I know, and how do my students know that I've added an assignment to a module and not something else? One thing that's really helpful is that when you create an assignment in a module, this is the assignment icon. So the paper with the pencil is an assignment. Anything else that you add to a module has its own corresponding icon, and these icons don't change. So I can see if something is a discussion or a file upload, etc. So the assignments icon is that paper with a pencil. So when we actually create an assignment and we go in to edit the assignment, we will see that rich content editor. And the rich content editor is just a fancier name for like the actual toolbar where we can edit and add our directions. The rich content editor has updated this year, so it looks a little bit different than years past, but we can use the tools in that content editor to hyperlink if we want to link to a resource outside of the course or even within the course. We can insert an image using that image icon, and then we can use the plug icon to plug in Google Slides or Google Docs or a YouTube video, something that we want students to view before they work on the actual assignment. So we can use that text edit toolbar right here to actually edit the text we want. And we encourage teachers to put your directions in this text box and to use clear, thorough directions so that students know exactly what they're working on. Something that I was really bad at as a teacher, I got in a bad habit of just saying like, submit your screenshot, and not actually explaining in detail what the students are doing, because in class I would show them what to do. But now that we're in this virtual learning, using as clear and thorough directions as possible is really helpful. And then we can use like the bold, italics, we can change the color, we can use all the tools on this left side to actually edit the text on the directions. And then we get into the actual assignment settings. So I'm going to open up an actual assignment, and we're going to look at the settings that are available to you and which ones you can just skip as well. So I'm going to open up that test assignment that I created, and we'll edit that assignment. So in the rich content editor, this is where I would put my directions. And now we're going to look at actually the settings that are below that. So the points, this is where I can decide how many points this assignment is worth. Assignment group is where you can actually assign it to a specific category. So if you have categories in your gradebook, we have to set up those categories in your Canvas gradebook just one time, and then those categories will show up here. So maybe this assignment is just for daily work, And then display grades as, really what you're going to move between on here is either points or complete incomplete. If you have an assignment that you just want to give them credit for completing it, you can change it to complete incomplete, but most of the time you'll keep it as a points value. The submission type is where you actually get into a lot of different tools that you have available for an assignment. Right now, the default is no submission. And a no submission assignment means that the students will have no way of interacting with this assignment. So I might use a no submission assignment as like a placeholder in the gradebook for something that we did in the Zoom meeting where they're not actually submitting something, but I want to give them points for that activity. When I click on this drop down right here, I also have the same option for an on paper assignment. So I would use this a lot in class when they're doing something on paper and turning it in physically. I would mark it in Canvas as on paper so that they knew they didn't have to do anything online. But now that we're online teachers, we're probably going to live in the online and the external tool submissions more. So if I want my students to actually submit something online, I'm going to click online, and then I get 4 different options. Text entry is just a text response. They would get the same rich content editor toolbar, and they would type their response and click submit. A website URL is a specific, they get a box to include a specific URL. So that might be to their share link for Google Slides, or it might be to an activity that you had them do online and they're sharing their results using that URL. So this gives them a specific website URL. And I'm going to show you what these look like from the student perspective too. And then a media recording is the students can upload an audio or video recording, either one that's already pre-made or one that they just do on Canvas live, so they can record audio or video. And then a file upload is if you want them to submit a screenshot, an image, a Google Doc, any sort of file that's already created. So they would submit that through the assignment. As a teacher, I can choose all of these. I can choose 2 of them. I can choose as many as I want. So if I want to give students some options, like you can either type your response or you can submit a Google Doc, then I would just want to make sure I've selected the type of submissions that I want to be available for them. External tool is another option, and the external tool function works really well for a few different options that we have in Canvas. So I just went over these. Oh, I'll go over that one in a second. So external tools right now, the external tools that you can use are Pear Deck, Kami, Google Cloud Assignments, Edpuzzle, Flipgrid, and WAMAP. Those are the main tools. If you're not familiar with these, I would spend some time getting to know the actual tool itself before you choose it as an external tool option. But they are pretty powerful, and teachers are finding them really useful during this time. But again, you would want to get to know these first before you add them as an option for your assignment. If I do an online submission and I choose a file upload, I then get this option for submission attempts. So this is where I can decide, can this student submit that Google Doc as many times as they want, or do I want to limit how many times they can submit that? So I can change this drop down to limited, and then it will let me choose the number of attempts. I would use this a lot when I was assigning quizzes. I would only want them to have a limited amount of attempts at that quiz. So that might apply for your assignments too, where you don't want them to be able to just keep uploading new submissions. Okay, we're going to just scroll down to these assignments here. A group assignment is if you're actually assigning group work and you have to pre-create those groups in People. This is an advanced Canvas feature. I used it a few times, but it allows for like 1 submission per group. So if you're looking at doing group work, I would definitely book time with your tech coach so that they can walk you through this. Peer review is a similar idea where if you're having students submit a written paper and you want them to review each other's work, you can set them to be required to review their peers' work. Again, advanced Canvas feature would definitely need some student tutorial as well. And then sync to SIS, we check this box if we want to set up that assignment to sync to Skyward. This just sets it up to be ready to sync. It doesn't actually sync it to Skyward. So we have to check this box if we want that assignment to eventually sync to Skyward. And then Dana's going to talk about the assign to. So let me get to that slide. Oh, yep. Okay, here we go.
Were you going to show what some of those You said something about showing a student view about,
Yeah, yeah,
are you
why
going to
don't
do
I
that
do
at
that?
the end?
I can do that right now, actually. Let me
Okay.
get that open up. Is there any questions right now that anyone has? No questions? Okay, great. Let me log in as a student here and I'll show you what these look like. So this is just a fake student that's in my fake course. So I'll just go through a couple of these assignments. So if I select the submission type to be a text entry, this is what it looks like from the student side. They click submit assignment. They get that rich content editor right down here, so they can enter their student response. They can type here, they could add an image. They have all the same toolbar that you do as a teacher. So they put their response here and then they click submit assignment, and that will submit their text entry assignment. The next one is a file upload. So an example of a file upload might be a Google Doc or a PDF or an image that they want to upload. I use this all the time for screenshots when I wanted them to submit a screenshot of something that they did. So they'd click submit assignment. They can choose a file. So if they have an image, and again, these are all saved on their drive because everything they do automatically saves to their drive. So they can choose a file here, or they can even search in their Google Drive to find that image or file as well. So if I'm going to choose a file, I can click choose file. For me, this pulls up my Google Drive as a teacher, but for the students, it would also pull up their drive. It just might look a little bit different. I'm going to insert this picture. Here's the file attached right there, and then they click submit assignment. Okay, so that's a file upload. And then a media recording. When they click submit assignment, they get the option to record or upload media. So they can click on that box. It will open up their recorder. So they can either upload if they have it pre-recorded, or they can just record directly. And if it's just audio, they just start talking or click start recording and start talking. If they want their webcam, they can also include their webcam. But because we're in a Zoom meeting, it won't show my webcam. So that's a media recording. And then I'm going to leave that site. A website URL assignment, they just get this website URL box where they'd actually paste the direct URL to whatever they're submitting. And that could be like a WeVideo link. It could be a Google Slides share link if you want to actually open up the slides to view. So there's different ways that teachers would use this. And then let's see, a no submission. So if I don't set a submission or it's on paper, this is what it'll look like to students. They can open the assignment, but they have no way of actually interacting with that assignment. Okay, and now we're going to talk about the assign to box, which is this box right here. Dana, would you rather be on the slides, or is this view okay?
We can use this view. I can
Okay,
just talk through and know that all the information's on the slide.
perfect.
So, so right now you're looking at the default where this assignment would be assigned to everyone. But you can choose who you would assign this to if you just wanted to assign it to, let's say, your first period class on one day and your third period class on another day or so forth. So you would click in that. You could either delete that everyone by clicking the X and then, or just clicking in that empty box. And now you can see that we have different settings. Now your view is going to look different, and this is a challenging tool to use, but it's really powerful. And the only challenge is that this window is never big enough. So the workaround for this is to type in the course title that you want to assign it to. And you have to remember that you have to type in and you have to grab both your first period A-B sections. And it'll populate both sections for that. If you wanted to do, like, if you were working on a block schedule, then maybe you wanted to grab first, third, and five for one day. And then you wanted to, if you could also assign the same assignment on the next day without revealing it to your 2, 4, and 6 periods by, could you go down to the bottom there? You would add a new group to assign it to. And so if you were to do first period in this one, and down here, yep, Mara's got a second period, you would You could also do the same thing for, let's say, maybe a student missed a test. You could assign an individual student to have it open for them, especially on a test when you've done some of these other date things with it. So, okay, so assigning students, you have options there. So the due button, the due date is obvious. That's when it's due. And you would click on your calendar for what dates it's due, and then you have time. You have the ability to choose time. You could just open it up on the morning of an assignment, or you can make it due the next morning of that day, like 9 o'clock in the morning. It defaults to 11:59 a.m. or p.m.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
11:59 p.m. and yes, right there. So, but you have choices to change those times, and because this will populate on a student calendar for when we get to the it makes sense that you might actually change that time to a more reasonable time when they would actually submit it to you. On the next window, available from is another frame you can add. So if you wanted to let some of your students see this on Monday, but the next group of students wouldn't see it until Wednesday, you would set when it would be available. So it's published and all ready to go, but it will not open for student to view until the date and time you have set. It's really good for testing. Yeah. Now the until button is a little tricky. When you type in a date and time for the until, that means that as soon as it hits that date and time, this assignment is no longer available to students. So for a test, that makes sense. A test or a quiz, you want first period to take it during their first period hours, and second period, it only should be available for their hours. If you add this until button for an assignment, then it would limit when they would have access to it. So consider leaving that blank. You don't have to put anything in. You don't have to add anything to available or until. The dates on there. The due date, though, gives them a due date, and that's what populates that assignment in their calendar, so they know when it's due.
We also need to include a due date if we want these to sync to Skyward. If an assignment doesn't have a due date, it will not sync, and it will let you know this assignment is missing a due date. Yes. Okay, so
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's say hypothetically the student misses the due date on an assignment, and it's due on Friday, but will they be able to submit it on Saturday or Sunday, or is it cut off on Friday?
Great question. So if you assign a due date, they can still submit that assignment after the due date. It will show up on their view as missing, and then when they submit it, it will show up as submitted late. And what you will see actually as the teacher in the grade book is you will see different color coding for assignments. So an assignment that's red means that it was missed. It's missing. Let me just show you an example. Oh, let's see, I'm in the wrong module, that's why. So if an assignment is missing, it shows up as red in the column. Sorry if you get nauseous scrolling. Okay, here's a good example. So these are all missing assignments. So it's past the due date, the student did not submit. If the student submits the assignment late, it shows up as blue in my grade book. So I know that student 2 submitted this assignment late. I still need to grade it because there's a submission icon here. So the students will be notified on their grade view when it's late or missing. And then as a teacher, you can see that based on the color coding. So then you can decide if you want to change their grade based on it being late, and then also give them a grade on something that's missing. So you could go in and put a 0 in here for all of these assignments, and it would still tell me that it was a late assignment, and it's still a missing assignment because they never submitted anything.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so we just want to talk about how to actually get to grade these assignments. So if we've created an assignment and students have submitted something for this assignment, we want to actually view those submissions, and we'd click on Speed Grader to actually view those submissions. So I'll show you from this module. what that looks like. So if I'm in my modules and I want to grade this text entry assignment, I can click on the name of the assignment, I can preview it, and then on the right-hand side, I'm gonna click Speed Grader. And this is where I could actually see my student submission. So up here, if I use this drop down, I can see all the students in this course. And if they have an orange dot, they submitted that assignment. So I can see this is their response to my text entry, and then I can give them a grade based on that response. Oops, and I made this worth 0, which I've done that before as a teacher too. And so this is how I can actually see their submissions. One thing that I find is really helpful with assignments to make your life a little bit easier is that, let's say you're doing a similar assignment every week, or maybe you just want to reuse an old assignment and just edit it for your current assignment. You can click these 3 dots right here and you can duplicate that assignment. So if I like this text entry assignment and I want to use it this week, but just change what the actual directions are and the due date, I can click duplicate. It'll make a copy of that assignment. I can go in and edit that assignment. So there are some shortcuts to kind of save time. You can also use those 3 dots to copy this assignment to another course. So if I have an assignment in my Spanish 2 course that I want to use in Spanish 3, but I want to modify it a little bit, I can use that copy to feature, and then I can copy it to another course too. So those are shortcuts that are newer that would have really helped me save time when I was teaching Spanish to actually use Canvas more efficiently. Okay, it is 3 o'clock on the dot. That's all that we wanted to go over. The slides in this slideshow continue into some Canvas gradebook and SpeedGrader tips. We do have a session on Wednesday morning. I think it's at 10. Is it at 10, Dana? 10 or 11?
I think it's at 10.
I think it's at 10.
Check.
Where we actually look at how to use the SpeedGrader, how to manage your gradebook in an efficient way, and then also how to get those grades from Canvas to Skyward. And that takes some prep, but once you do it one time, then you can just sync your grades as you grade in Canvas.